The future will be good because I will make it so. What is up, you guys? Sage here. Uh, Today, that is what we are covering. Is the future will be good because I will make it so. Because it is that action that makes it so. But then we'll talk about some of the struggles that I have in making it so, and hopefully we'll stumble upon the solutions as we go along. A struggle that I have is with competing if dominance or top spot is not a foreseeable possibility or a very likely outcome. And I'll illustrate that with a story. A couple of weeks ago, there was a deadlifting competition just outside campus, and it took me a while. I really struggled to enter because I had just trained. I think I trained legs that Monday. I trained back that Tuesday, and this thing's happening on Wednesday. So the two main body parts that I'm supposed to be using to compete now are the ones that are already exhausted from the days prior. And so it really did take me a minute to, it took a lot of mental gymnastics to convince myself to actually go for it and to actually do it. And the way I ended up convincing myself is like, well, there's one chance, one opportunity, and well, I think Dwayne Johnson had recently seen something where Dwayne Johnson said that the desire for success will never be as powerful as having the courage to fail. And so that's what it took that day. It took the courage to fail, to be willing to not come out on that top spot. And I end up tying for first place. And if I were fresh, I would have definitely uh, been first place and blown everyone out of the water because, again, I had every excuse in the book. I had literally just ate just before because I didn't know this was going on. I just ate before, like to the point where I'm stuffed. I ate a muffin after that. Like I ate a blueberry chip muffin, a vanilla flavored. It was awesome. Like I would literally, so my stomach's full, my back is just, I just trained it, and that's what I'm gonna use. My grip strength is gonna be all over the place. My hamstrings are exhausted. Like everything, I have every excuse in the book I had, but I was like, well, one shot, right? And so yeah, I go in, I go for it, and it was just about ripping it out. And so I was like, I do have chances because that depends on that. That's a different type of training. I don't do super high volume training, and so that's working a kind of like a different part of the muscle. And my hamstrings did cope. Do you know why I ended up only tying for first place and not blowing everyone out of the water? My grip strength failed, of which I'd done back the previous day, so that made sense. What I'm trying to say is the future will be good because I'll make it so. But in that process of making it so, I find it very easy to compete, if that makes sense. Even though the process of competing may be harder, I'll tell you what I mean by that. In business, I am reputable. I'm someone who is a force to be reckoned with. In accounting, I'm someone who's a force to be reckoned with. I'm either on the top spot or very close to it in all interactions, right? And so, with that being the case, when it comes to those topics, when it comes to those subjects, even if I have to put in 100 hours, I find that easy to do because the entire time I'm thinking to myself, man, what if my competition has just put in another hour? What if they just put in another hour? What if they just put in another hour? And I find it a lot easier to amass as much time with the subject as I need to make sure that when the time comes, when the day comes, and it's me versus him, it's me versus her one on one, I won't be the one that backs down because I'm the most prepared. I want to be able to expect to win. Accounting, same thing. Doesn't matter how many hours it takes, I will continue to repeat. I will give. I will put in. And you never come out the back end of it feeling like, well, I'm prepared. It's always a situation of, well, I've done what I could do, and that's it. I mean, could I have been better? We always feel like we could have been better. I always feel like I could have been better. But so sometimes you really do get into that state where you're like, man, I did it, I gave, and that's the good place to be. Now here's where the issue comes in. When I'm not competing for a top spot, when I know that there is no way that I can come from wherever I may be to being number one, it doesn't entice me. It doesn't. I'm not interested in competition for the sake of competition. But the other side of it is that that competition is not for the sake of competition, because it all comes together. It all adds up. Winners win and losers lose. Period. You know. But with certain things, man, certain topics, certain subjects, there's just that general understanding that, okay, typically the way this is set up, the things that I'm excellent at are not going to show up very often, and the things that they're excellent at, there may be very complex things that I'm good at that are not going to show up very often in this format of testing, and things that I'm not so good at, because I'm not perfect, right? And things I'm not so good at are the things that are going to show up, and they happen to be better than that. So I'm like, this playing field is not even, and so in my mind, the only way to win this game is not to play. Well, not necessarily not to play, but because again, winners win, right? So I'm going to push myself and try and bring myself into that situation where I'm showing up, and I do show up, but I don't show up as well, as hard as I do for the things that I'm good at, you know? And you kind of want that to be the opposite way, don't you? You kind of want to, or no, actually, you just want to show up as best you can always. So, yeah, it's a situation where I have showed up in the past, and with the preparation that I've given, even though it's still more than my competition, and that's what really really annoys me about that, is I still prepare more than my competition, perhaps in the same or by a greater degree than I did in the other things. But because of the natural ability that they have, they may not even need that. Like what, not little, but what level of preparation that I've come in with, the level of practice, the level of repetition. Like I'll come in and I'm sharper, and I'll get mine regardless. Like that's not even a question whether I'm gonna get mine or not. But to compete at at the highest level and for those highest spots is what drives me. To be completely honest with you, um, yeah, it's what drives me to come in and know that I fought, and know that I gave, um, is what I kind of validate that situation with. But to know that you gave and then to not get one of those top spots is almost delusion, is it not? Like to know that you are good at something and you have given and then you don't get a top spot, that's very very difficult. And this is not the only space in which I'm struggling with this. I'd say across the board, to know that I've put the work in and I've done everything that it takes to win, because I'm a winner. I've done everything that is required, and then you don't get what it is that you want. The question becomes, did I do everything that is required? And the answer has to be no, even though you gave everything. And that's hard, man. That's a real grind. That's really like a spot where you don't know which way is up. You don't know where to go from here. But I guess it's obvious, right? Which is you just go back to the drawing board and you just keep working. But at what point are we approaching insanity? At what point are we better off? At what point do we realize that, man, there are better uses of our time? You know, and yet we prepare, we work, and we come in usually in those situations so that we may just be rid of what it is that is in front of us. Not so that we do the bare minimum, but we do want to show up and we still want to do well, because it all again counts in our overall score in life. Not that anyone is keeping score, but in our overall internal score in life, where we know that, okay, we did it, we did that, we showed up. And it may be something where, say, there's a competition that's squat, bench, deadlift. Say I'm not as good at deadlift, or I'm incredible at deadlift. Say I'm not as good at bench. I'm also really good. I'm strong. I'm really strong. But say hypothetically, in a crazy world, I wasn't as good at deadlift as I was at bench and squat. You want to be good in that deadlift, and you want to show up as best you can, regardless if it's not your best exercise, or the best thing that you could be competing in. Regardless if it's the best thing or not, you want to be showing up, because it all counts towards your total. And you may be beaten in that deadlift, and you may not get a top spot, but you'll realize that instead of being in that top two that you really, really want to be in, instead of, you want to be number one. Let's be honest. You don't want to. You don't do this. You don't do this for second place. Let's not kid ourselves here. Instead of being in that number one that you work hard towards in that squat, in that bench press, right? Instead of hitting that number one again, so you're gonna hit number one here because you trained. You're gonna hit number one in squat because you trained. And then deadlift comes and you're like, man, it's frustrating because you're like, I did it, I gave, but I'm just not built for it. Like, say you just have shorter arms and that's it. Your legs are incredibly, but your arms are just short. And these people have longer arms and they're sumo deadlifting. You're conventional deadlifting with short arms. You're stronger than them, clearly. And yet, you will not get that top spot, you know? But still, you must give. And yet still you must find it within yourself to give. And so for me, I suppose I internally struggle, or am faced with that idea of, but still I must give. Whereas in the others, I just give because I want to, because I want to win. Here, I'm like, bro, I can't win. But again, a win, like some sort of victory here where I've given my all in conjunction with those other two combined, and then I can still be the best overall. But yeah, I just struggle to lock into those things where it seems that the game is rigged, where it seems that, in those moments, it feels like the world may be against you, even though you know full well that it's not. You still understand that the odds of success, in terms of coming out on that top spot, are minimal, and we'd like them to be a bit better. And yet, still, we do work, even though painful as it is to say, we don't push as hard as we do for the things that we're good at. We still show up, and I think that matters. I think it matters that I think it matters to be able to draw something from yourself, even when you have nothing to give, if that makes any sense at all. Even when, like, if you can force, I'm going to quote Rudyard Kipling again. If you haven't read that poem, I suggest you read that poem. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve you long after they're gone, and so fight, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew, the connective tissue of your muscle, you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve you long after they are gone. And so hold on when there's nothing left within you except the will which says to them, hold on. So when you've given so much in these things that you know you can compete for, if you can force yourself to at very least show up and do something, yours is the world and everything in it. And, which is more, you will be a man, my son. That's the end of If by Rudyard Kipling. I'm gonna read that poem to you guys at some point in time. Should I pause and find it now quickly? I'll do that. It's a bit long, but it'll probably take like 5 minutes. I'll bet. Here we go. If you can keep your head when all about you, or losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet not look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream, but not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truths you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve you long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither friends or foes can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. My favorite poem of all time, without a doubt. This is If by Rudyard Kipling. Like I said, honestly, my favorite poem of all time, because it speaks of manhood. It speaks of how you have to be a walking contradiction. And I'm not contradicting myself when I'm saying that. Like, I'm not talking about something that is impossible to do. You have to be able to walk with kings and not lose the common touch, speak with crowds and keep your virtue. You have to be the kind of a human being that is capable of going to war and taking a man's life and holding a newborn baby on the same day. You need to be capable of these things. Your mind must be able to stretch and bend so it will not break. And the future will be good because I will make it so. And so I suppose the main thing that I was talking about today is how to fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds of distance run. Thank you for watching. If you did in fact enjoy today's video, then I appreciate you, because I was just venting today and we were going through some very cool, complex ideas. And yeah, you guys were helping me work through them. And I appreciate you for that. Appreciate you for your time. If you did in fact enjoy today's video, please do hit that subscribe button. I have been Sage, standing on business. Signing out.